right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 46. Let's just get right into it. We had a pretty exciting fight night last Saturday night, UFC Vegas 9, headlined by The Ream, taking on Augusto Sakai. A couple fights just wanted to talk about before. Obviously, Brian Kelleher, really impressive submission victory in the first. That man's, done the UFC a lot of favors here in 2020. I think that would have been his, is that his third fight? That was his fourth fight in 2020. So I think he might be going for the record. I know he said he wanted to continue the streak. He wants to be a company man. He wants to get some big fights. So obviously love to see the UFC do him a favor, get him a big fight next, because, fighting 4 times in a year definitely isn't easy, especially when it's only, only September here. So let's see if he could finish out the year. Next, wanted to go to one of the more interesting matchups on the card here. We had Michel Pereira taking on Zelim Amadev. We all kind of know Pereira for, what he does in the octagon, right? He's doing flips and shit. He's crazy. He's jumping off the cage. And this fight, I thought he looked, more calculated, right? He still did the off the cage shit and it was wild, but definitely more calculated. And I thought he looked pretty impressive in that performance, getting the submission victory in the third. I think it was a little controversial. They didn't know if the guy tapped, but it looked like he did. But yeah, what'd you think of Pereira on there? Because it definitely looked like a different fighter in there.
Yeah, he looked a lot more controlled. I think he kind of learned his lesson in, I don't know if it was last fight or a couple fights ago. He ended up losing a fight, kind of gassed out against a fighter that he probably should have beat. But he still maintained a little bit of that style. He was able to do it in spurts. But yeah, he looked good. He was so much faster. He was in good condition. Landed some heavy shots throughout the fight. He was slapping Imadaev for that stint that happened at the weigh-ins. I think Zelim kind of pushed his face or something like that, or slapped him at the face-off. So Pereira kind of made him pay for that. So that was funny to watch. But yeah, I mean, regardless of the submission, the fight was gonna go Pereira's way. 3-0. He was pretty much dominating that fight. Yeah, it didn't really look like Imadaev tapped, in my opinion, but either way, the result was going to be the same. So I don't think it mattered too much.
Yeah, no, like you said, it was a blowout anyway. I thought Pereira did a really good job of just pushing the pace, really making it his fight. He didn't really give Imadaev any room to breathe here. And I mean, listen, when a fighter blows you a kiss in the octagon and then slaps your face, that's when you should just accept defeat, because that was friggin' terrible. But obviously Pereira is a showman. He needed it. He was coming off of back-to-back losses, coming off that DQ of, I think, who's that? Diego Sanchez, the illegal knee. So obviously he was getting a lot of shit from that. So he came back. I think he was more calculated, and he definitely made a statement tonight. Didn't like his call-out of Jorge Masvidal. I thought that was pretty pointless of a call-out, because I don't think that fight's ever going to happen. But there's been crazier things that happen in the UFC. So Pereira, fun guy. We'll see what happens with him next. But next co-main event, we had light heavyweight bout, Ovince St. Preux taking on Alonzo Menafield. OSP had a 1-fight stint in heavyweight. He took on Ben Rothwell, ended up losing by split decision. This is his first fight back at light heavyweight here. The underdog in this fight getting a massive KO victory over Alonzo Menafield. And Jesus Christ, Menafield is an absolute tank of a human being, bro. Every time he loaded up, like, you didn't know what was going to happen. So obviously OSP getting it done in spectacular fashion. Unreal knockout. So what'd you think of OSP? He's more than just a submission specialist. I think he kind of showed people that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was a bit slower of a fighter than Menafield in that first round. He kind of got caught at the end of the first. but then it was kind of weird. Benefield kind of took the second round off. They showed the stat like halfway through the round where OSP landed like 19 strikes and Benefield only landed 2. So he kind of got away from what was working for him. And I think from that point on, OSP kind of took over. He was walking him down, threw a lot of kicks. Um, he was hitting him with that counter left hand a lot too, which just led to that knockout. But yeah, Benefield kind of got OSP off balance, went to rush him, came in. OSP hits him with the counter left and just put him completely out. So a good win for OSP.
Yeah, definitely coming back into, you know, the weight class you're most comfortable in. Obviously, like I said, he tried out heavyweight, didn't work out. One fight. I don't know if he's kind of here to stay at light heavyweight. He's fought everyone and their mother in the light heavyweight division. I don't know if he wanted something new. He was sick of cutting weight. I don't know, but we'll see what his next move is. And obviously, you know, Menifield's a young guy, so I think he'll be back. He's an absolute beast. So, but overall, really fun fight. Let's just get to the main event. We had a heavyweight bout. Alistair Overeem taking on the, I guess, rising, you know, contender here, Augusto Sakai. Overeem, a lot of people doubted him in this fight, man. A lot of people didn't think, you know, he was going to get it done. People think he's old. People think he's done. He's washed up. But, man, this guy's going to make another title run. I really believe that. So he's getting it done with the TKO victory in the late fifth round. So, I mean, what'd you think of this performance? Because obviously, you know, Sakai coming in, a lot of hype behind him. Maybe the next, you know, heavyweight contender, right? And Overeem kind of put a stop to that. So what'd you think about Overeem's performance? Because I was impressed, man.
Yeah, I don't know if it was part of the game plan to go to takedowns halfway through the
Yeah.
fight when, you know, Sakai was a little bit more tired, or it was just an opportunity that he saw. But it worked out perfectly for him. He went the first 2 rounds. Sakai had a lot of success up against the cage in the clinch. Every time he got Alistair to back up and put his back to the cage, he just unloaded some vicious combos on him. So Sakai looked great through the first 2, but once Overeem started getting those takedowns and getting the ground and pound in, it was a totally different fight. You know, I think it was the 3rd round they were showing the betting odds like as they were changing.
Yeah.
And they had Sakai as a favorite in the middle of the fight, and those takedowns were a complete game changer. I mean, Overeem was in it the whole fight. You know, the striking exchanges weren't one-sided. Overeem had his own moments, but the real game changer were those takedowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, as soon as that cut opened up on Sakai, you could tell he was a little more, you know, kind of reserved on that. And I think he was trying to cover up as much as possible. And, you know, Overeem just, you know, picked his shots, ended up getting it done in the 5th. So obviously super impressive. Right now on a 2-fight win streak. I think, you know, obviously Sakai, he's a guy who, you know, he's coming in. I think he had 1 loss on his record before this. So he'll be back. He's talented, man. And that was a great fight. For a heavyweight fight, had a ton of action, right? We had takedowns, we had exchanges, we had clinches. It was friggin', it had everything. So hats off to Sakai for putting on a good fight. Overeem was the better man. But I guess, Kev, taking a look at the rankings here, what do you think's next for Overeem? Like, he's trying to make that one last title run. You know, he's sitting there right now at number 5, right? People were calling for the Rosenstrike rematch just because how the controversial of an ending it was. Does that fight make sense? Or, you know, do you take on Derek Lewis? Like, what do you think's next for him? Just because, you know, obviously he's getting up there in age, right? He doesn't have that much time left, and I think he wants to make one more run. Do you run it back with Rosenstrike? I know he came out and said, listen, I already worked him for 5 rounds. He got a lucky punch in. Like, is that something that you run back again?
That's a fight I'd like to see again.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. I think that's the best fight for him to get back to the title, because if you think, you know, Rosenstrike remains active, he gets another win.
Yep.
The Ngannou Miocic fight happens. If Overeem doesn't have a win over Rosenstrike, if both of them are coming off wins and Rosenstrike, still has that win over Overeem, he's got that. He's got that going for him.
Yep.
Saying that he should be the next title shot. So I think for Overeem, if he really wants a shot at the title, I think redeeming himself against Rosenstrike, even though he was winning that whole fight, it ended up being a loss for him. Rosenstrike's above him in the rankings too. So I think that's probably the fight that he should take.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. I do think, obviously how unfortunate that fight ended, the Rosenstrike fight. He was winning, literally most of that fight. So I'm curious to see that go, I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's going to, headline a card again or anything like that, but run that one back. You're right. He's got to get a win over Rosenstrike right now, and just taking a look at the rankings. You got Rosenstrike at 3, Overeem at 5. It perfectly sets him up for, possibly the next title shot. I know, Curtis Blades is sitting there, and Derek Lewis is sitting in there. So curious to see the heavyweight, division really kind of unfold here, because, I don't think a lot of people expected Overeem to kind of make a run like this, winning 2 in a row, right? Possibly could have been right now if he didn't lose the Rosenstrike. If there was, 10 less seconds on that clock, we're talking about, a 5-fight win streak for Alistair Overeem, which is kind of crazy. So, MMA is crazy. This is why this is awesome. So, we'll see what happens with with Overeem next. I do like that Rosenstrike rematch. So I have a feeling that's where the UFC will lean towards. So we'll see what happens there. UFC Vegas 9 in the books. Let's look to this weekend, buddy. We got UFC Vegas 10 at the Apex. We got actually very exciting women's strawweight bout. We have Michelle Waterson taking on Angela Hill. Talk about two just like tough girls in the strawweight division, probably two of the toughest in that division, right? I do like this matchup too, because you got, both, Michelle Waterson coming off of 2 losses here, right? You got Angela Hill coming off of a loss. I think in both of their losses, they definitely were controversial, both 2 split decisions. Angela Hill coming off a loss of Claudia Gadelha. Michelle Waterson coming off of, obviously, that big fight with Joanna Jacek and most recently Carla Esparza. You got to look at someone like Hill. She's already fought friggin' 3 times this year. Talk about Brian Kelleher taking any fight, anytime, anywhere. Angela Hill has done that. And, she was 1 judge away from being on a 4-fight win streak. So we could be talking differently right now, but she does have that loss to Gadelha in her last fight. But I don't know. Where's your head at with this matchup? Because I'm kind of intrigued with it, to be honest. This is the headliner. Obviously, this got pushed up because UFC Vegas 10 was originally Thiago Santos, Glover Teixeira. COVID struck them, so they had to pull the fight, move this fight up. But yeah, Kev, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, no, I think it has the makings to be a fun fight. They're both pretty skilled strikers. I imagine that they're going to keep it on the feet. I just think Hill's style is going to be a little bit tougher for Waterson to deal with. Waterson's got that, typical karate, that traditional karate type style. And I think Angela Hill has a good mix where she can make it a little bit of a dirtier fight, kind of get her off balance, and probably win that way.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely a toss up, man. Like I said, you got 2 of the toughest girls in the strawweight division. Styles make fights. I think this one's going to be exciting. I don't see it going to the ground, like you just said. We've seen how friggin' tough Waterson is. We saw it in the Joanna fight. She took everything that Joanna had, and it was tough to watch. I think Hill's coming in here with a little bit more momentum, to be honest. And I see her, she's kind of been on a tear in 2020. I know she's coming off that loss, but very controversial. It was a split. I think she's had some great fights here in 2020. So I'm going to go Angela Hill. I think she's going to get it done. But overall, I think it's going to be a really exciting fight, because if you take a look at really the strawweight rankings right now, right? You got, Wei Lee, who's probably going to fight Rose next, right? And then you got, Andrade, who I think, who is she fighting? I think she just had a fight announcement. I forget who she's booked against, but she is booked. Oh, let me look that up real quick. We got Andrade taking on. Uh, do, 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 do. Upcoming. Oh, she's taking on Chikagian. So you got Andrade taking on Chikagian, right? We got, Tatiana Suarez in there. Obviously, Joanna's always a threat. So this fight kind of, you got Angela Hill at 13. You got Michelle Waterson at 8. So, right, this is a big fight for Hill to jump into the top 10. So it's really Waterson's fight to lose here, man. So her back's against the wall with 2 losses back to back. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I think this really does kind of affect the strawweight rankings, and excited to see this play out too. Because I definitely want to see this division get moving and do its thing. But UFC Vegas 10, just some other notable fighters on the card here, which we think are going to be good fights. You got Ottoman Azaitar taking on Khamzat Worthy. Khamzat Worthy's, been shot out of a cannon. Just back-to-back great performances by him. He's someone to look out for. Billy Quarantillo, he's someone to keep an eye on. Looks like Ed Herman. Mike Rodriguez, he's a Boston boy. He's stepping on short notice here. Keep an eye out for him. He just fought on the Contender Series. So that's going to be a good card. Overall, UFC Fight Night, UFC Vegas 10 this Saturday night, ESPN Plus 2. And I just wanted to get some just opinions on this too. Nick Diaz coming out of nowhere Monday night, making statements saying he's coming back to the UFC. He's making his return in 2021. I mean, first off, before we talk about anything, what do you think about that?
I think it's probably a bad idea for him, and I'm honestly not going to believe it until it's fight week and, Nick Diaz is at the weigh-ins. Him and his brother, Nate, you never know what they're going to do. They say one thing, they'll do something different. They'll, it's fun to watch them fight. They're great fighters. You always tune in when the Diaz's are fighting, but you just getting them to the fight is the toughest thing. So even though he's saying it right now, who knows what he's going to be thinking tomorrow.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. And with the Diaz's, you really never know what they're going to do. We saw countless times, even the whole situation with the Jorge fight, like USADA trying to come after him, like just little things like that. I feel like when a Diaz is fighting, just bad things happen overall. But yeah, I don't really believe the news too. You got everyone and their mother calling out Nick, wanting to bring him back to the octagon. We had guys like Darren Till. I think we had Wonder Boy Connor said he wants to fight Nick and Nate on the same night, apparently. So we got everyone and their mother wanting that fight. I think it'd be a big money fight. I think if he does come back, the UFC is going to pay him a ton of money. Probably just be a one-fight thing, to be completely honest. But like you said, I'm not going to believe it till the door's closed and the cage door's closed and he's sitting across from an opponent. I guess just kind of like hypothetically here, who would you like to see him fight? Because like I'm looking at let's just say both welterweight and middleweight. I just don't want him against anyone in the top 5 of either of those divisions. Like, I don't know if that's their plan, is to throw him into like a top 5 fight. Like, I don't know. Or do you throw him into a fight with a guy like Robbie Lawler again, like run that back, or run like a Carlos Condit fight with him? Like, does that fight make sense? Or are they trying to make like Nate, Nick Diaz is coming back and he's making a title run? Like, I just don't know what the play is here.
I think the UFC is smart enough to know that Nick's too unpredictable to think that he's going to go for a title run. That means he's going to have to fight multiple times in a year. He's going to have to, make the way through the training, pass the drug test, all that. I think if anything does happen, they're going to make a big fight. And just call it at that. There's not going to be a warm-up fight for, Nick Diaz. He's not going to get, an easy fight to kind of get his feet wet and back into the cage.
Yeah. I saw on Twitter, I saw, let's do Connor Nate 3, Jorge Nick as the co-main, which like I don't like that fight for Nick, but can you imagine the pay-per-view buys on that card? Like, that would be absurd.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nate said in interviews that, Nick hasn't lost it a bit. He's still training.
Yep.
He still looks great. He says he's the leader of the team. But you just don't know that for a fact. Some of these fighters, they come back like when we saw like BJ Penn come
Oh,
back
yeah.
from a long layoff. You don't want to see a fighter go through that, especially like one of the legends of the sport. I think like honestly, like what I would like to see, maybe like a Cerrone fight or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be a fun one. Like that's a big name. Get a lot of people to watch. But yeah, I think throwing him to Masvidal is, I don't know, his first fight back. That's a tough one. But the UFC could do it. If Nick
Yeah.
agrees to it, that they're not guaranteed to have Nick ever fight again, then why not? It's a good business decision for him at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be crazy, man. Obviously, Jorge getting the best of Nate in the BMF fight. I know they're apparently going to run it back. It's not officially announced yet, but who knows what a storyline that would be if Nick comes back and beats Jorge, and that would be crazy. But
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, I think he said he's targeting early 2021. Who knows? I know he did like a test weight cut from I think 172 to 165. That was the range, and I guess he felt good. So I don't know where his head's at there, but obviously I'm gonna tune in every time a Diaz brother fights. So I don't care who he fights, I'm gonna be watching it. But like you said, I don't want it to be like a BJ Penn situation where it's just hard to see BJ get back in there. So hopefully Nick is ready, and I want to see him in the octagon talking shit, taunting everyone. Like I want to see the Stockton slap going. Like I want to see all that shit. So curious to see. Hopefully we kind of hear some news within the next couple months, maybe end of the year, something like that. But Nick Diaz, breaking news, maybe coming back to the UFC. Never thought I'd be saying that here in 2020, but cool. That's all we got today. Listen, thank you to all our supporters, all of our subscribers, followers. Make sure you click that subscribe button. We're coming with bigger, better content every week. Listen, you guys need CBD. Click the link below. We got both of our sponsors, CBDMD, CBD Meta. Click the link below. Use our promo codes. Click down there. You need merch. We got Flatline merch. Click the link below to get to our store. Go buy some merch. Go support the boys. You need Venom gear. Like I said, click the link below. Go buy that Venom gear. And then lastly, you need meal prep. Trifecta Foods, the official sponsor of the UFC, I believe. So click the link below. Go get your Trifecta meal plan. It's good. It's bomb. UFC fighters use it. You guys should use it. What do you got, buddy?
That's it.
Till next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.